and welcome to episode 15 of the Just Run podcast. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make tonight. However, fear not, you've got my handsome co-host Nathan, who will be running the show. Pun intended. On today's episode, we've got Martin Rutherford. So this summer, Martin will be attempting to not only climb the 3 national peaks, so that's Snowdon, Scafell Pike and Ben Nevis, via the technical routes I may add, but he's also going to be attempting to run the distance between them, covering off around 440 miles and approximately 34,000 feet of elevation. Yes, that's more than Mount Everest. So, sounds like an incredible challenge. This will be Martin's second attempt, however, because unfortunately he contracted COVID on the first attempt, about 240 miles in. Martin's a father to 2, and a father like myself and Nathan, and he's doing this, all of it, for one hell of a charity called the Young Minds Trust, who are working basically to promote well-being and mental health of children and young people. So it's all for a really good cause. It's going to be a great episode, whether you're lacing up and going out for a run or making a cuppa and sitting down and chilling. Tune in and enjoy.
Thanks, Reece, for the intro. Obviously, you can't be here today due to family commitments, which we'll find out about next week on the show. But again, like Reece just said, I'm here with Martin Rutherford. Welcome, Matt. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. Good to see you. Thanks very much for asking us to come on and have a chat. It's much appreciated. Be good to chat to you.
So I first came across you last year when you were doing your 3 Peaks challenge, and then we've got chatting over social media about what we're both doing. I just thought that you're quite an interesting guy who's got a story to tell with running, and you've done some pretty cool ultras in the past. So first question, how did you start running?
I suppose like everyone else, one foot in front of the other. No, I think I didn't start running until kind of later years, to be quite honest with you. I'm not one of these ones who was running at school. I hated cross country. I enjoyed sports, but I wasn't any good at them, to be honest with you, really. I never got into running until properly till 2016. So what's that? Nearly eight years ago. That is 8 years ago. I did a marathon actually. Now that I think about it, I did a marathon in 2008, which was in Cork in Ireland. And that was the year that was my son was born. And I just basically rocked up, did a little bit of training, and just decided to rock up to it and give it a go. Really, I thought, oh, this thing that a marathon, let's give it a go and see how it goes. And it went all right, enjoyed it, but that was kind of it. I didn't have this kind of I suppose it was like an itch, and I just scratched it, and I was right, okay, that's all right, that's done now. Tick that one off, done a marathon, and get back to being a father and getting on with life. So that's what I did. And then 2016, somebody had mentioned to me about this thing called ultra running, and explained to me that it was anything over a marathon distance, but predominantly just running long distance for long periods of time, and that just kind of thought, oh, that sounds quite attractive, to be honest with you. I've always been kind of one for pushing myself or doing extreme stuff in sports and whatnot. So pretty much signed up for my first ever ultra in 2016, which was in June of 2016, and I started running in January. So just kind of went from there. Really, just thought, I'll be fine. I'm all right. I'm fit. I'm still smoking. I'm still drinking, but I'll get myself across that finish line, and I did, in a lot of bloody pain.
Do you know what the distance was in your first one?
It was a 52 miler, and it was over in the Melbourne Hills, so there was a wee bit of elevation on it. But it was an out and back, so it was 20 roughly 25, 26 miles out, 26 miles back. and I rocked up there. So training wise, leading up to that, I had done some smaller distances, like I did a half marathon, and for some strange reason, I thought doing obstacle course races would help with ultra running. Didn't really, it just batters me to hell, to be honest with you. But I found them fun. I enjoyed the muddy kind of, and maybe that's why I get into the more trail running later. But I enjoyed the muddiness of the obstacle courses. So yeah, I rocked up to the Melbourne Hills with no idea of what to kind of expect, really. Didn't have any idea of gear either. Kind of went up with a rucksack and I had two watches at that point because I hadn't fought out on a really good watch, so I had like a TomTom watch, TomTom of all ones, and then I had a wee one of these Fitbits as well, to try and track it. But yeah, I mean, it took me roughly 13 and a half hours to do, I think it was, just under 13 hours, I think it was. And yeah, it was brutal. It was really brutal. But I felt so accomplished at the end of it. And that was kind of that got me into signing up for other ones after that, really. Pretty much signed up straight away to the London to Brighton, which was 2 months later, 100 kilometers. So I'll gradually step myself up, 52 miles. 2 months later, I was into 100 kilometers. And then those races gave me some. I think back then it wasn't stones you needed, but you basically got points to enter for the UTMB races. So I managed to gain enough points for the January entry of 2017 to the UTMB, and I managed to in first time to the UTMB, the CCC.
So
So
after
yeah.
after two ultras, you'd already gained a
Mm.
place, and wow,
Yeah.
talk
So
about stepping
I
up.
gained the place because I was very lucky. I got my name taken out of the ballot. People obviously try year after year after year. I was just really, really fortunate that I managed to get picked. Or unfortunate because it was an absolute hell of a race. I mean, it was an amazing race, but my God, I was in so much pain through that really. So that kind of knowing that I'd kind of get into that for August of 2017 really then got me obviously got me into training a bit better, more into the mountainous kind of races and stuff. I hit up in Scotland. I did the Ring of Steel, Solomon one, and then I headed over to Wales, UTS 50, when they first originally started up before UTMB took it over. And yeah, once I got into the kind of running in the mountains, I found that I loved that more than running ultra distances over tarmac and whatnot. So yeah, that was it really. That's how I kind of get into the running. The reasons for it, I suppose, were just like anyone really, just more of a stress relief. I think it was good for my mental health, but also fitness wise, I wanted to try and improve my fitness and yeah, that's it really.
How was Chamonix?
It was nice. It was really, really nice. I went over there with my family, with my ex-wife at the time, my wife at the time, sorry, and my two younger kids, and we kind of made a bit of a holiday of it. So we got there a week before, and we did a bit of touristy exploring and stuff, and then started the race, and yeah, it was just such an amazing route, such an amazing experience. One that I'll never ever forget. Every single part of it, to be honest with you, it was just. I say amazing, but it's so tough. I mean, really tough. I love the toughness of races to push my physical body, but also my mental side of things as well. And that broke me a lot, to be quite honest with you. I think I was in such a state, come towards the end of it, uh, mentally, that yeah, I just thought, it was a journey. Let's just say that it was a journey.
So How did you end up like from that deciding to run like 440 miles?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know really.
Did
I
you
mean,
get did you get bored of races and thought I need something more and wanted to do
do you know
something for
what?
a
A little
bigger
bit.
cause?
Do you know what? It was a bit of that really. I think it was I was always wanting to push myself more and more. I've always been that type of person where I want to improve myself, and be the best at what I can be, whatever I'm doing, really. And with ultra distances, there is no limit with it. There's no capping on it, right? I mean, if you're training for a half marathon, 13.1 miles is your cap. Bump, that's it. With ultras, it's just endless. And so for me, that was kind of what attracted me to the Three Peaks Challenge. That it was not only pushing the distance, but it was pushing me in the boundaries of the terrain and the elevation. And I love the mountains. That is it for me. It's the it's being in the mountains, but it's also the technical side of things. So the Three Peaks Challenge basically takes in the technical routes of each of the peaks: Crib Goch, Lodge Rake, and the CMD Arrête, so ridges and stuff. That is where I am so in my element. When I am basically on something like, if you slip, you're going to hurt yourself, right? And you've got a long way
Is
down.
Crib Goch that bad? So I see some
It's
videos, it looks quite wide, and I see other videos, think, oh, sod that.
there's sections of it basically that are basically just a knife edge, really. And they're kind of, I've seen people basically crawling along them on their hands and knees like a child, and gripping on for dear life, basically. Because it's not so much as obviously the pinnacle of it, but it's the type of rock that's there. It's just so slippery, really. And then there's other sections of it where you've got the ridge, but off the ridge you've got a bit of a flat bit, so you can walk across it. You know.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so it's got sections like that, but it's one of those ridges where once you're up, you're kind of committed, really, because going back is even more difficult. Try to get back down again, you know. Um, so yeah, so that's what kind of made me decide to put them into the Three Peaks Challenge. I don't think it was something that I wanted to do something that I don't think anyone has ever done before. Like, many people have done the Three Peaks Challenge, and there's quite a few people doing it this year. And it's even, I think it's even an organised race, to be honest with you. And so I wanted to kind of step outside the box of that, and put my little spin on it. And that's what I kind of came up with, doing it through the technical side of things. And also doing it from south to north. So you're finishing in the highest peak, making it a little bit harder. And also just kind of like mentally, you're thinking, well, I'm going up to Scotland. It's a mental game
Yeah.
of going, well, climbing all the time, and you're actually not, because it's relatively flat. But it's just I just like to make things as bloody difficult for me as possible.
Is it a fastest known time attempt?
It's not, no. I am I'm basically taking so when I attempted it all just there in last September, I was trying to do it in 9 days, was what I was doing. And I knew that the 9 days were pushing me to my maximum capabilities, really, of doing it from a multi-day point of view, I think, as well. I don't think there is an actual an FKT on that specific route that I've designed. There is obviously an FKT on the route from Scotland down to Wales. Um, but the other way around, I don't think there is. So it would probably be a first ever, to be honest, as far as I know, really.
Oh, get it
Um,
logged.
I think so. It would be nice to see if anyone has done it. I've looked, but I haven't delved into it too deeply. I mean, that's the thing with the archives for these types of likes of routes and such things, they only go back sometimes as far as GPS devices and stuff. But before that, there was loads of people doing this sort of thing, and I think they never obviously, it wasn't logged properly, and you just need to scope the internet to find them. But I think, yeah, I mean, I think this time around when I come to doing it, it will be I'm taking a bit longer to do it. I'm going to extend the 9 days to doing it in 11 days. Because like anything, if you try it and you don't finish it, you don't finish it for a reason. And I didn't finish because I had COVID, but I learned a lot in the time that I did do it there. And one of the key things was that I never really took into consideration how hard the days with the elevation would be. I knew they were going to be difficult, but the day one, which is Snowdon, and the day four, which was Scaffold Pike, the mileage on those were both roughly about 50 miles that I had to cover with a roughly about 8,500 foot of elevation. And that was just, and also it's not so much as the elevation of climbing up and down, it's the technicality of the route. I mean, we took 3 hours to travel 10 miles on the Scaffold Pike section. We had to scramble up, scramble around, scramble down, and it's just so slow going because it's just so technical, so dangerous. So this time around, I've basically made those days a shorter distance to allow for that, so that I can and have a bit more of a chance to recover. Because that was the difference. The difficult thing was giving yourself enough time to try and refuel to recover at the end of each day. And I just started to fall behind with my schedule when I tried it last time, and I was trying to, I was cutting back on the miles we were doing towards the end, like maybe cutting them 10, 15 miles short, which meant I need to try and travel from that point to where my digs were, then back again. And that's all time that you're wasting on when you should be properly recovering. You should be eating, you should be massaging, you should be showering, you should be sleeping. And when you kind of neglect all of that, it has a massive effect on your daily output, really.
So you stayed in Airbnbs and hotels and stuff, did you?
Yeah. So I basically planned it out to and booked in like an Airbnb or like a camping pod at the end of each day, as close to where I was finishing at the end of each day. And most of them were very close. They were within 5-10 minute drive, really. Um, and that's what I thought would be the best way to tackle it, to be able to give myself some comfort at the end of the day, really. But yeah, that kind of didn't really work out quite well like that. We didn't make the best use of the Airbnbs. And when I started falling behind the schedule, we were further from the Airbnb where we needed to be, really. So this time around that I'm doing it this year again. I'm doing it differently. I'm going to have an additional sport vehicle, mini camper van, and we're going to basically just pitch that up and sleep in the camper van, with the exception of possibly, maybe one night and like an Airbnb or somewhere that, when I've got enough time to get a shower and whatnot. But yeah, I think that's it's also it's comes down to the financial side of things. I think, the Airbnbs, they're not cheap anymore, and when we're doing something like this, you want to try and keep it as cheap as possible because it's you're doing it for the charity more than anything else. But yeah, so I think that's what we're going to look upon doing this time. What are you doing how are you doing yours?
My parents got a big Hummer camper van, so I'm literally going to stop every day and do all my recovery bits, sleep, get out as soon as I'm awake, and just have something to eat, get about 600 calories in, and just go. So I'm not wasting any time going back for the like accommodation or anything.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's the ideal way to do it, 100%. I think it's the most efficient way.
Because
And
I'll be in it then as well at the same time. Like I won't have any
mm,
like luxuries where I think, oh, this is nice, not going out tomorrow sort of thing. I'm just like in the pain for all of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think the struggle I found with the Airbnbs. It was a struggle. It was a struggle to get up in the mornings. But in fairness, I wasn't really sleeping much anyway. My body was going into recovery mode. At the end of each day, and when it does that, it starts going into sweating mode, and you can't sleep. And then I obviously had COVID, which then gave me a throat infection. So then I wasn't sleeping because I can't even swallow my own saliva without wincing in pain. So I was paying for I don't know, 60 quid or something for an Airbnb just to be lying in a bed crying. And that's what I was doing. I was literally crying. I just, yeah. So I think that's what I said. This time around, yeah, it's best to try and I'll try and look at the camper van side of things, because you're right. You want to basically be able to kind of control it to a limited space. And if you've got you try to control as much as you can within these type of challenges, right? There's obviously other variables you can't control, which is obviously the weather or vehicle mechanics, basically. But try and control everything else within that, and accommodation and food basically being one of them. And if you can get them on point, you've got a great chance, haven't you?
Yeah, 100%. How many have you got supporting you? And so, like, what sort of
Um,
crew is it? Have you got physios?
No, no. So basically, I've got a friend who has his own two berth camper van. I met Peter. I met Peter a couple of years ago on a navigational course, actually. And then we'd basically kept in touch through texting and whatnot. And then he'd heard I was doing this challenge through social media. When I was asking for support, and he'd said he'd like to help out. And he said, I've got a camper van and I can offer vehicle support. I can be there with you, for you, from start to finish throughout. The camper van's not big enough for both of us to sleep in, he says, but we've got cooking facilities, toilet facilities, and even shower facilities on it if we would stop at campsites, basically. So he was basically, amazingly to help out and offer that, really. So Peter, and then I just had some friends who were really just wanting to jump on and run with me whenever they could, really, and that was it. So yeah, no physios, no flashy massagers or anything like that kind of thing. It was basically another good thing that it was trying to keep it not I didn't want to keep it as low key, but it was very much raw in a way that for me it was something that I was came up with the idea. I planned it all. I did the logistics. I planned the route out, and so that's something, again, we'll go back to kind of talking about control side of things. It's something that I know that I've got control of it, and so it was a bigger challenge for me that way, really. So this time, yeah, we'll have Peter again with his camper van, but I'm looking at having Emma with us, hopefully with her smaller van to sleep in this time around. Um, but yeah, anyone else who wants to join me, that was a good thing about social media last time. When social media started, I started publicizing it on social media. Many people were jumping on and saying, "Oh, I'll meet you here. We can meet you there," and it just kind of started rolling from there. And before I knew it, I had a running club meet me and run with us. The whole running club came out through Billings Running Club it was. And that was just amazing. That was great. The power of the internet is an amazing thing, isn't it?
So, did you learn loads from last year in terms of social media as well, and how you're going to promote it?
I did, yeah, I did. I think I was very, very fortunate that one of Peter's daughters is very good with social media. So she took over my Instagram, basically, and um, we fed her with lots of videos and images and stuff as we were going. Whoever was supporting me or running me was told to take lots of pictures. So she controlled that, and she took over my stories, and she kept up to date with everything and how things were going, and she would post things, and that was that was one of the key things, if not the key thing, that managed to get so many donations coming in. If she wasn't doing that, I would have had to do some of it myself, and I was already struggling just to even bloody eat, to be honest with
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
So I think that was one thing that is such an advantage if you have somebody that can do that for you, take over your socials, and keep everyone up to date. It just kind of starts the ball rolling, and then you're tagging people as well, and then people can tag it from there. What
Yeah,
about
it's
you?
cool.
What are you doing? How are you promoting yours?
Um, well, obviously through the podcast, I've got a couple of running clubs around, so like South Wales, who share my posts as well. Um, through Bigmoose as well, they'll share my posts every now and then. But I'm looking to sort of like get out as many people as possible into the bits of the routes and just have a blast with it as well.
Mhm.
Because not many people get a chance to do what we do, so why not invite the world to do it?
Exactly. No, definitely. I totally agree with you. There's not many people that will do what you're doing either, or do the distance that you're doing, or can do the distance that you're doing, but they can do parts of it, and that is the best part about it. They can do the little parts of it and be part of the bigger picture of it.
Exactly,
You
yeah.
know.
Yeah, it needs to be the whole like Welsh running, trail running community out doing it, yeah. So
Mhm.
I'm really looking forward to that part of it as well, because I think it'll just give me a lift as well. Yeah,
Definitely,
just give me
yeah,
a
it's
lift.
definitely you're covering so much as well. There's almost so many different areas that you're making it accessible to quite a lot of people. It's not as if you're limiting one little area within the UK. You're covering a massive area there. So yeah, yeah, wish you all the best with that.
Yeah, can't wait. So have you got a rough idea of how many calories you're going to be eating every day, and so like how you can going to consume them?
I don't. To be honest, I really don't. I don't. Um, yeah, I mean, I enjoy running, right? But I don't. I don't keep on top of that kind of thing when it comes to what calories I should be consuming or what calories I'm burning. I should do. I should have a nutritional coach. Definitely, I think would be good. But I should have a training coach. I don't have a coach either. So I think calorie side of things, going on the basis of what basically uploaded at the end of each day. Um, I don't know. I think it was 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 calories I was burning, something like that, really. And so for me, fueling these type of challenges, I try and obviously eat as much natural food as possible. I've got Voom who support me with their nutritional bars and their electrolytes and powder and stuff, which is great because it works well in conjunction with normal food, really. So I was just really eating, as much as I could when I could. And even when I couldn't, I was still trying to get food down me, really. You know, um, high carb stuff with like, noodles and some pasta and stuff. Um, and yeah, just listening to my body. I think that's the thing, really. I listen to my body a lot, and I realize that I know that when I'm in a deficit, I can feel me being in a deficit. I know that I need to eat, or I know I need certain electrolytes or certain sugars. um, and so it's basically listening to your body, so you can get that stuff in you before you bonk. Really. I did a race there just at the weekend up in the Peak District, and we basically we ran the route, and part of the route we missed the first checkpoint, and so we had to backtrack by about half a mile to the first checkpoint. And I had it in my head planning. So when I get to the first checkpoint, I'm going to basically, I'm going to refill up my Voom nutritionals, which is 90 grams carbs in each of these. And then I'm going to have a bar. I'm going to have this as well. But because we missed the checkpoint, we ran back, completely threw that out the window, and basically just topped it up with water and just ran back out again. And I knew that was a mistake. As soon as I'd gone, I thought this is not going to help. And I need to get more stuff on straight away, because I started the bonk, and this was very early on in the race. This is only like 15 miles into the race. Um, And so you even though I turn around and say I listen to my body, I still make the mistakes.
How have you, what sort of training you been doing leading up to it all?
So I think I've been trying to get into the mountains as much as possible, trying to get a lot of elevation on in my legs, really. Um, uh, the majority of the actual challenge itself is on tarmac. I'd say easily 70% of it is actually tarmac pounding, really. So I've been not introducing, I've been running on the tarmac quite a lot locally here, just doing loops and loops, flat loops around here. Um, uh, so when I finished the last challenge, I was pretty much didn't do any running for about 2 months, I think it was. And then I got back into going to the gym and doing a little bit of light strength work in the gym, and then introducing a little bit of running. Um, for some reason, I had a bit of an issue that came about with my knees, and I'm putting it down to incorrect use of gym equipment, to be quite honest with you, or overusing of the gym equipment. It was came down to patella tendonitis, quadricep tendonitis, which is doesn't stop you from running, right? But it stops you from sitting still, with your knee basically bent at like a 40-degree angle. So when you're driving in the clutch position and the accelerator position, when your knee's in that position, it starts to really seize up, and it's just bloody painful, really, really painful. So I had to completely knock all the running on the head and basically start with the rehab program. Cancelled the gym. I thought, right, I'm not doing that stuff anymore because I obviously don't have a fucking clue what I'm doing in there, right? So that was it. Got out of the gym, got myself some kind of like free hand weights here in the house. Thought, right, that'll do me. I don't need these big machines. I don't need the big weights. I'm not going to be a bodybuilder, just the little ones. And started working on basically focusing on specific muscle groups on the body that are detrimental to running. And that's obviously glute work, quads, hamstrings, calves, and stability in the ankles and stuff. And started rehabbing the knees until they got gradually better. Once they were better, I then started to up my mileage from running point of view. Again, just running locally. 20 miles for the first month, 32 miles for the next month, 44 miles, something like that for the next month. So gradually kind of bringing that up to a peak of 72 miles for the other week, I think it was. And so I'm yeah, feeling pretty good now, and I'm going to try and keep that kind of steady going of consistency of the running. Try and keep the mileage up to the 40, 50 miles, mixing it with a bit of tarmac pounding, trying to get the mountains when I can, and lifting those bloody things down there, really. So
Do you find it hard trying to squeeze in the time to get out for a run?
I think, some days I do. Some days I do. I'm fortunate and also unfortunate to be self-employed. I own my own electrical business. I'm an electrician, and so I say fortunate because I can do what I want really when it comes to jobs. In a way of, um, knock off early, or not book a job in tomorrow and I can go for a run. Unfortunate because when the flow of work dies down, you don't have a steady income coming in, and so at the moment, I've been quite quiet with work. It's been really quiet over the past kind of month or so, to be honest with you. And so I've found getting the runs in very easy. Um, when I was working so much, when I was really, really busy, I would try and incorporate running then into my daily working day, and that would be the form of taking my running gear to work with me. So I predominantly work in London, so I'd drive into London, which could take me 2 hours to drive into London, do a job around London or do a couple of jobs around London, and then I'd do a run just before I drive home, because then I wasn't getting home normally until about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. That's when you struggle, in it. You're coming home, you then, if you've got kids, you've got to try and get the kids sorted, you've got to get dinner, you've got to get showered. So yeah, that's, you know, it's I think it's, people try and say, I just don't have time. You do have the time. You just need to manage it a bit better, and you can't fit everything in. You're not going to be fit everything in. Whether, you need to, well, okay, I need to do a little bit of running instead of trying to do running and strength and flexibility and yoga. You don't beat yourself up too much when you can't get it in, and just, yeah, it's difficult. You must know yourself, as a family man yourself. It is, isn't it? How do you manage to fit it in?
Early mornings and late night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How do you find with the mornings? Do you enjoy the mornings? Are you good with the
I love the
mornings?
mornings. Yeah, I'm always up about 5 in the morning anyway. So yeah, I love the mornings. But I'm going into 3 weeks of 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. So I'll have to try and do like 5K before work, 5K at lunch, and then 5K after, just to get my like 9 miles a day in. Yeah,
Wow.
it
That's
does
tough,
suck.
isn't it? Right. Do
Yeah.
you find then you need to try, so when you're doing your 5Ks, do you increase the intensity of the 5Ks, like faster pace, to try and kind of make up? Or
No, I'm just trying to get the mileage in on concrete because like day one is like 50 miles of all tarmac. And
yeah.
for me, I think mentally, I think if I get through day one, I'll be okay. Because I know how bad running on flat is, especially like tarmac. Because I
Yeah.
did a 42-mile canal run last year, and it just ruined me for like a couple of weeks after with my hip flexors. So I'm trying to
Mm.
prepare myself to do that again. And then once I get through that, I'm hoping the strength will carry me through. But yeah, I'm just that day one is my mental barrier at the moment.
That's the thing, you want. I think it's once you're there. What I found with the challenge was the day one, was fast approaching, and I had the doubts and such things of getting through it. It was a 57 mile, 52 mile day, I think it was, over the mountains. And as it approached, I was thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But as soon as it started, that just disappears. You just basically go into like just focus mode, and you just everything else going on around it as well, with people being there and supporting you, kind of helps with that. But you just get down to business. I think that's how to explain it, really.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to try and hold back as well because it's obviously it's not a
Mm.
race. I've got to just get to a certain mileage each day, so I don't care how long it takes me each day. But I just try. It's hard to sort of like get in my head where I'm not going to go out and run like a marathon straight away. That I could do like run 2, 3 miles, have a rest, run another 2, 3 miles, have a rest. So that is going to be hard to sort of like get into a mindset of as well, I suppose.
A lot of self-control when you're doing that.
Yeah,
That is what is difficult, because you don't actually practice that in your training. You don't practice self-control whatsoever in your training.
no,
Whenever you're going out for your 5K, you're going out to do your 5K as fast as possible, because you've got to get back for work, or you've got to get back for the kids. And it's the same when you're going out for your run. There's no self-control training involved in any of your running whatsoever. Um, you can go out for maybe a slower paced run, basically, which is a form of self-control, because you're doing a bit of a slower pace on it. But to kind of go out for a run and go, do you know what, I'm going to walk the next mile, that doesn't happen on your training run. And I think, once you start your challenge, I think that will come quite I think you'll snap into it quite easy. I think once you kind of get into your first few miles of it, just you might even get for your first few miles, you just burn it off. You just burn everything off, and you just go, right, okay, just settle down, and you've got the time, and you'll get into kind of like a routine of it.
yeah, I'm hoping so. Um, Curiosity, what are you going to listen to anything as you're running?
I listen to music quite a bit. I don't listen to podcasts when I'm running. I can't focus on the podcasts really. Um, I um yeah, music helps me a lot to basically to switch off from a lot of the pain, I think, that you're feeling at the time. But it kind of, yeah, it distracts you a lot from the mundane side of things, from the tarmac pounding.
What's your go-to playlist?
Yeah, I think
Bit of Spice
uh
Girls?
no, I think the Proclaimers, I Wouldn't Walk 500 Miles, is probably on repeat.
Good one, yeah.
Flower of
Might add
Scotland,
that.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah, love that anthem.
I had so when I did my challenge last year, attempt, sorry, um, Celia, who is Peter's daughter, who did my social media over, shoved up a post saying she's putting together a playlist, Spotify playlist for me, and she got people to start throwing songs in there, and some of the songs on there were, yeah, some of them were really motivating. Some of them were, very emotional, but they were all evolved around the challenge in a way of, you're pushing yourself, you're doing your distance, you're doing something amazing, basically. And then you get something put in there from the Trolls with one of them. And it was a really good song. It was such an uplifting song that it just made me laugh out loud, and it was the one with the never going to give up or something like that. It was. But it was just it was amazing. And then there was some other really weird ones in there. And it's just that's something that is such a great thing to do. If you can get people to make you a playlist up as you're doing it, um, not only obviously does it take your mind off of it by listening to the different variations of music, but it starts getting you thinking about, okay, who put that one in there? Who put that one in there? Why did they put that one in there? Okay, that's just fucking wrong, that one.
Because do you think that like a certain place that we see on these runs, do you think a certain song just makes it more epic?
I think certainly yeah, I think certainly with different locations, a song can in the background can certainly help. I've found not so much more the locations, but at a specific time within my race. Um, and that time is normally, so for instance, normally doing 100 miler. It will be roughly at the 18 hour mark. It'll be 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. It's pitch black. And I say this because I remember one specific race that was like that. It was the Pennine Barrier. The skies were clear, the stars were out, and I was in the middle of nowhere. There was nobody around me for at least 5 to 6 miles. Um, and the music I was playing at the time was very euphoric. It was a dance group called Above and Beyond, and they're a trance type of genre. But they're just so uplifting. And I felt everything kind of tingling from my toes all the way up with that music, with the location. I just came through a really low point as well at that point. So I was kind of like, just coming up from the low point. And it was just, I can only kind of, compare it to being, just very high, very high.
Do you ever stop and just sort of like take it all in?
I try to do that as much as possible, obviously just to take it all in, but just it allows you to take a break, and I think that's what I've enjoyed a lot with it, is actually to stop, turn around, take a look where you've just came from, because a lot of us, when you're doing these events or challenges, your head's down, you're looking at one foot in front of the other. And if you're racing, you're trying to get there in a specific time, you forget. And so, stopping, turning around, taking it in is helped me so much to enjoy it. And I think, fundamentally, that's obviously what attracts me to the trail running and ultra running in the mountains and such things is the scenery. But it helps me to get through it because you're stopping, you're not meant having a break. Sitting down. I mean, when I did the TDS last year, the UTMB TDS, which was 100 mile, okay, it was 96 miles, but it turned out to be 100 miles. 42 hours, I think I was out there for 2 nights, I think it was.
Oh God.
It was an amazing route. So that was the step up from the CCC to the TDS. And I remember on the second day, I just got through my second night and we just ascended up a massive mountain in the Alps and beautiful weather. Sun was hammering at the sky. And I just got to the top and I just sat down and I just had a look around and took it all in and called my kids and had a video call with them. And then I had a wee lay down and dozed off for about 5, 10 minutes and then got back up. And that memory will always be stuck with me. The video will be there that I took with my kids as well. And it's just those moments where yeah, that's what makes me do it, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah, the appreciation of what we've just accomplished, where we've been. There's not many people in the world can do it.
No, that's very true. It's yeah, it's that feeling sense of accomplishment at the end of it, or there's times when I've been out and I've experienced something that only limited people will experience, whether it's a baby lamb being born was one of them, a snake in the Welsh mountains was another one.
Yeah,
Um,
I seen
uh,
that. I'll put a video up, the photo up for everyone to see. How big was
yeah.
it?
So it was probably about 12 inches, I think it was really. And it was still obviously it was still a younging, but yeah, it was directly there in front of me. I was clambering up hands and feet, lucky not to hit it in the head with my hand, and it just sat for what felt like 10 seconds, but it was probably only 3 seconds.
Was
It
it a
just looked
grass
at me and
snake?
then slithered off. It was it was a grass snake, yeah. Um, I had to search up afterwards what it was. But it's moments like that I go, wow, right place, right time, and also the thing is, it's like it's being on part of these routes as well, where you're kind of going more. I try and stay off of the main beaten tracks, so like Snowdon and those types of things, where people go quite a lot of. If you go to the other areas, you get such a better day out, I feel anyway. And when you experience or find something in that location, you kind of go, yeah, okay, that's 1 in a million right there, and even the weather as well. We were when that day, not that day, it was the weekend before we were out there. We had seen four rainbows, double rainbows in the same day, and you just go, I would never see this sitting on my ass at home, really wouldn't.
No.
And it is, it's amazing. It's that kind of stuff that just blows me away. And it also helps me to get my children out there as well, and get my children into it and not getting my children into ultra running. They're never going to ultra run. I'll be lucky if I can get them up the bloody mountain sometimes. But it's getting them out to say, look at that over there. You wouldn't see that normally, or we've been blessed to be able to have this uh, broken spectre, which is basically a circular rainbow. I remember once, um, in the clouds, and not many people get to see those, and they're an amazing thing, really.
Do your kids
Um,
ever fancy like going for a run with you?
Not really, no, no. I've had them out before, and when we had lockdown, they were staying with me for a good part of it, and my son, who's 15 now, he was obviously 14, 13, 14 at the time, um, decided to set a wee challenge to himself to get out and run. And so we set up a 5K loop around the house, and he challenged himself to do it every single day for 5 days. And he did it. We went out and we just plodded around. But he's more of a gym buddy now. He likes the gym. His mates are going to the gym. They like lifting heavy things, the kind of things that bloody injure me.
Yeah. Yeah, they just want to look big and now, don't they? Like they've
They
been on
do,
Love
yeah.
Island.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, the bigger the better there.
Yeah. So talking about your kids, you're raising money for Young Minds Trust. Any particular reason why?
Yeah, I mean, Young Minds are they're an amazing charity for supporting young people with through mental health problems, basically, and other issues and stuff. And I've always been a bit of an advocate for mental health charities to support them. I've done it over the years. I um, I supported CAM for a while, and I supported Movember as well, and so I just feel with Young Minds, it's hard enough being an adult in this world right now, and there's so many adults out there struggling with their mental health that we kind of sometimes forget that young ones are also struggling with it, and it's very hard for us to find support ourselves. And so, um, you know, being able to have a charity like Young Minds that are there dedicated for young people, And then they're not just for young people, they're for adults and parents and carers of young people as well. They've got so many really helpful resources on their website to be able to help to be able to talk to your young ones, to open them up, and that's the hardest thing I think at the moment is, to be able to get them to speak to you about how they're feeling. Yeah, it's tough, and so that's why I chose Young Minds. Really, I think they kind of helped me. My two young ones have been through a bit of a tricky few years with the divorce and some other issues kind of going on at the moment. Where they've sadly found themselves homeless, but their mum got evicted from the house, so they ended up staying in a travel lodge for the past pretty much 7-8 weeks. They've been jumping between there and here, really. But yeah, so I want to get a charity to be able to help to support them, but also others as well, like that.
Yeah, it's good to get kids used to like the therapy and so like sharing their problems, because I think it'll pay dividend when they're older, and they've got some even more problems as an adult. They're more capable of dealing with it by then because they're used to talking to people. Yeah, I think it's really important to get kids into therapy, because my 10-year-old's actually been into therapy with Bigmoose. And since he graduated, you sit him down and he's more open to talking about like what's going on with him. So that's really helped him and us.
It's
I
such a
suppose.
positive thing that they can do that,
Yeah.
that they can sit down and talk to you. I think a lot of young ones nowadays, they struggle with understanding and even knowing their feelings, let alone being able to express them and speak about them. Like, my two children are on the spectrum with being able to with ADHD, and both are different in their own simple ways. Sam can verbally speak out about his emotions, and he understands them and talk about them. Sophie doesn't at the moment. She when you ask her, how does that make you feel? I don't know, so it's having someone professional there, because we're not professionals. We're parents.
No.
We're trying our best basically, but we're not got the right techniques and ways of being able to cohere it out with them, to course it out of them, really, and that's where Young Minds gives you some stuff to say, look, this is like a one-liner. This is what you say to them, to be able to say, well, how would that make you feel? Or, instead of going, well, how was your day at school today? What upset you today at school? What didn't you like about school? And it's that kind of thing that then allows them to open a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah, my boy's been great since therapy. And as a result, he wanted to run 10K. He'd done a 5K park run with me a couple of months ago, and he said, right, I want to do 10K now. So last weekend or the weekend before, he did a 10K at the Bigmoose Ultra Fun Day down in Cardiff. Knocked it out in just an hour and a half, I think it was.
That's amazing.
He's actually wants to run 10K every day when I'm doing my challenge now as well.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so he wants to run past. He's coming with me. So
excellent.
So he wants to run bits of the coastal path at the same time. You never know; he might be inspired to do it as an adult when he's older.
How old is he now?
He's only 10.
He's just 10. Aye.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So
that's going to be such an experience for him.
Yeah, and I think it's important for him to see me suffering, but still moving forward.
Yeah.
Because more than likely, he's gonna see me crying at some point, because you're just so low, you just can't control it. He's gonna see me in agony, but hopefully, I can just keep moving forward to the end. So yeah, I think that's going to be a really important lesson for him.
I think you'll be teaching them that that you can do difficult things if you put your mind to it. I think that's what I strive to kind of show my children, is that you can actually. You can achieve anything that you want to achieve as long as you put your mind to it and you want it bad enough. It's difficult enough sometimes to kind of get through to them in a way that things will be all right. And if you really want to do this, and so if you're doing it in a positive manner with them, it's helpful, isn't it? It really is.
It
you
is.
know.
I just think, what other 10-year-olds got a chance of seeing the whole Welsh coastal path, or the majority of it, all
Yeah,
the castles you'll see, the beaches. I just think it'd be
amazing.
amazing for him.
It will be amazing. He'll be able to, like, have this amazing memory for the rest of his life. But also, he'll have, obviously, stuff there where he'll be taking pictures, and he'll have that kind of stuff as well that he can look back on, and you'll have all that too,
Yeah.
and that'll be there, to inspire him, through difficult times as he gets older, and inspire him to be what he wants to be. I think that's what we strive so much as parents to do for them. Sorry, is to encourage them to be whatever they want to be, do whatever you want to do. You want to be an astronaut? Let's be a fucking astronaut.
He
Honestly,
actually
you know.
does.
Aye,
He does. He's a bit of a genius when it comes to maths anyway.
it's
He wants to join the RAF to learn become a pilot and hopefully go into NASA or something. So yeah, he's got his career all lined up.
that's that.
Yeah.
He'll be in space when you're still running around.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
Brilliant. Good on him.
Yeah. So Reese has asked this question, okay. What are you hoping to achieve personally through your journey, both physically and mentally? Bit deep in it.
It's a bit deep, that one, isn't it? I don't know. I think, okay, so if I answer the mentally side of things first, I suppose, and that is to be a stronger person in my day-to-day life, um, to be able to overcome obstacles put in my way on a daily life, um, and respond to them in a better way, really. I struggle a lot with um, certain things on a daily basis that I might shy away from, whether it's social environments sometimes or just tasks and such things. And so, um, that's what I hope that the challenge, and just hope that ultra running or running does for me. It does do that for me, and it has done it for me. I'm such a stronger person than what I was before I started it, and so. I think that's, mentally wise, I think that's what I'm looking at. Physically wise, I think just, yes, to be a bit more healthier, to be able to, you know, to climb up the stairs without being out of breath. I think really, I don't know. I think it's a difficult one when it comes to that. I think, what do I want to get out of it? I just want to have this, sense of achievement that I've done something good, and I think that's kind of it. I want to be able to say that I've done something good with my life, I suppose. And that's, doing it for the charity, or just doing these challenges really, or doing these distances. And um, yeah, I think, yeah.
Do you ever look back at photos or videos of you like a couple of years ago and think that who is that person? Because you remember, so like what sort of mindset you had back then? Because back last year, I started a video for when I did the 150 miles around Pembroke over 5 days, and I look at the start of the video and I think, Christ, I was a completely different person to who I am now, just in those
Mm.
short period of time, because it's changed my whole mindset. Do you ever look at photos of yourself and think I was so different back then?
I think if I, go back to, when I'm in my younger years, 100%, definitely, in my, um, but I think, as I got into the running side of things, before I got into running, I wasn't much more of a different person than what I am now, apart from maybe drinking more and smoking more, really. I do look back at them, and I kind of go, well, he's still he's still quite a um, strong person back then. But my strongness came through my work. As I look back now and go, when I was working back then, starting my own business up, doing 12, 15 hours days, you know, striving to be the best at that. That's still part of me now, but I've just gone into more of a healthier side of it. I think, um, and yeah, I kind of look back and think, well, I think going down the road that I've gone down is is yeah, definitely more of a positive way than what could have been, I suppose.
Have you changed much of your social circle?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I never really had much of a social circle before I started running. I've never been one to be able to keep social groups. Yeah, all through my life actually. When I was younger, I remember jumping from different social groups to different social groups. I grew up in a small island on the west coast of Scotland, and when I moved off of that, I moved away from the island. I moved away from all my social groups, really, and then formed some new social groups down in London, and then moved from London somewhere else, and then started to work basically traveling the country. And so then I never had any social groups, and then you get married, and then your social group becomes your family, and that was it. And then I kept up running, and I actually had a proper social group. I had, something in common with people, as well. I think that's what really attracted me more to the running too, is that, I was finding like-minded people out there, that not just enjoyed the running, but we connected really. And so yeah, I think the social groups for me have only really started since I started running. Sure, I've had friends over the years, but I don't speak to them anymore, sadly.
Yeah, when I was in school, I had a small group of friends, which I'm still in a WhatsApp group, but I don't really spend any time like chatting with them anymore because they're
Mm,
all talking about just football, going out for drinks or gambling, and it don't interest me. So I'll always have their back, but in terms of like chatting every day, I just think I'm not getting anything out of it. I always played football, so Saturday evening was spent with the team. But I was never um, bothered about having a group of friends or interacting with people. I was a bit of a loner, to be honest. I quite
mm,
liked being on myself and it never bothered me. It's only been in the last probably year which I found South Wales Trail community, and I'm chatting to them all the time, making friends all the time. And I just think that the trail running community is just so welcoming. It pushes you, it accepts you. It's yeah, I love it.
it is 100%. You think that it's my best friends are less than 2 years in the making, 2 years old, and they count these friends as people that other people would associate with being friends with for all their life, and that's only really came about because you say the community out there is so welcoming, and it's I think it's easier to be able to kind of socialize and make friends in that community because you have one thing straight away in common, and that's the love for running, really, and that's such an icebreaker. Outside of that, I've always struggled to be able to communicate with anyone. I'm deaf in one ear, completely deaf in one ear, right? So when I was getting into social environments where there'd be more than one person there talking, two or three people talking, I couldn't focus on any of them. I couldn't make out what anyone was saying. So I'd just be quiet. And then, you're missing opportunities there. But when you're running, sure you're running with groups, but you're normally running with one person and you're chatting to them, and then you can chat to the next person and the next person, and like I said, you find that you have so much more in common than you realize. I've met some very very good friends who will be friends for the rest of my life. Through that because of shared common interests or things we've been through in the past. Really, um, but yeah, I think you're right. I mean, when it comes to like the older groups of social groups and friends, similar. Still have contacts that I grew up with, whether it's through social media and such things. But sadly, with nothing in common anymore. I think a lot of the time when you kind of go back to associate with these type of people, life's moved on either for both of yous or for one of yous, and that's inevitable. Sometimes you're going back and finding this person still in the same status quo as they were before, and you've moved in a different direction, and so yeah, it's difficult sometimes, isn't it? I think as a person, you kind of want to be within a group, and I'm the same as you. I enjoy my own company, 100%. I really do, but I do enjoy being around people that I connect with, and I don't connect with many. I'll be honest to be with you, but yeah, it's sometimes difficult when you don't find that connection. So when I basically got into running before that, I was in this limbo world of not being able to connect to many people whatsoever. I didn't have any interest. I didn't like football or that kind of stuff. I didn't watch the sports. I didn't go to the pub drinking, and so there wasn't anyone there that I could really connect with until I kind of got into running. And yeah, that's
Do
really
you think
helped me
it
a lot, I think.
helps that obviously when we're on the side of a mountain, we got nothing for hours, so we just talk bollocks. So you end up like blurting out everything about your life. So by the end of a run, you know everything about this person you're running with. So I
You
think
do.
I really think that helps.
Oh, definitely. I definitely agree with you. I think the oversharing, right, is something that we do a lot of in the mountains or during a race and stuff. We just need to control it a little bit and not overshare to the person in the news agents when we go down to get a newspaper in the morning. I find that sometimes like that, you've just came back from a race or you've been away for a weekend of being in the mountains with so many like-minded people, but all oversharing, and you go down to pick up your milk and you end up telling the person behind the cashier your whole life. Just take the
Yeah,
milk.
telling them you just took a wild shit on the side of a mountain here on the weekend.
I don't know. It's amazing. It's amazing the stories you hear and the stories you tell as well. And the thing is, as well, it's when the stories that kind of come back to you in those times as well. Because you're away from all of the stresses of the world, and so great opportunity for these memories to come back at that time. I couldn't share what I share with people on a daily basis because there's too much going on around me to be able to remember half that stuff.
Yeah.
It's when you're kind of out at like 2 in the morning or something and something pops into your head and you just go, oh, just got to say that then, eh? Yeah. Yeah.
When does your Three Peaks start now?
Um, yeah, I've not really given a date yet for it. I wanted to wait until my kids were in a suitable accommodation. They've just recently moved into a two-bedroom emergency housing house. Um, so at least they're comfortable now. They're not under in a hotel. So I was waiting till that happened, and I was waiting till my knees got better. So I'm starting to think about dates at the moment, and talking to my support crew about that. But the support crew have things going on. Peter's doing quite a lot himself, as is Emma. So the windows of opportunity are very small. Um, we've got a possibility of the 10th of June, which isn't long away, or it's the 1st of September, I think. So we're in talks at the moment about what will work with those. The 10th of June is quite a tough one because we're restricted with the time that Peter's available. He's heading out to Chamonix to do a race on the 28th, so we don't want to put any pressure on him, but also pressure on anyone else. So there's a good chance it's possibly going to move into the 1st of September, which is a long way away. It gives me time to prepare more, I suppose, really for it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to hopefully try and announce it over the course of the next week. Really, yeah,
Well, yeah, tag us and we'll share it for you.
yeah, definitely will do. No, that'll be
Yeah,
good.
sure. So have you got any races planned outside of the Three Peaks?
I've got a backyard ultra I'm doing in a couple of weeks' time. Maple Durham, I think it's called. It's down in Reading. Um, I signed up for that about a month back, I think it was, because I knew I was delaying the challenge, so I wanted to give myself something to focus on. So backyard ultra in 2 weeks' time. Um, and that's it. I don't have anything else, no other races booked in. So again, it's all dependent upon the challenge. If the challenge is to go ahead on the 10th of June, then there'll be no races. If the challenge is going on the 1st of September, then I'm going to be looking at some races for June, July, maybe some 100 milers. And I would like to do the Paddy Buckley round as well. I've attempted it twice. I've tried it. I've attempted it once with support, and I've attempted it once solo. Sadly, didn't manage to complete it all. Got like 44 miles round, and I had to call it a day. So that's kind of niggling at me. I'd like to get that put to bed, really. But yeah, that's it really. I think the backyard ultra will be a good tester for me to see how my body can cope with the sleep deprivation, and just see how see how I've kind of forgotten how to kind of run sleeping. So it'll be nice to see if I can do that again.
And I got one last question for you: Is have you got like a bucket list race or run that you'd always fancy doing?
Yeah, that's a good one, isn't it? Really. Yeah. I don't know. There are so many, right? There are so many races that I would just love to tick off. Um, so many of them that I'd like to just actually do on my own as well. I think the Spine being one of them. I think is an amazing route.
Winter or summer?
But pardon, winter.
Winter.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but I think in the world that there's a race over in Everest called the Everest Trail Race. Basically, it starts at base camp and works its way back down again. That's certainly on my bucket list, I think, to do. And I'd love to do ones in America. There's the Western States possibly over there as well, and uh, yeah, I'd like to venture into maybe more over the 200 mark again. I did the Wild Horse a couple of years ago, I think it was, and I'd like to see if I could get up to a 250 race. Maybe race across Scotland does that, I think. But yeah,
How did you
but
find the
yeah.
Wild Horse?
It was amazing. It was an amazing route, amazing location, and amazingly ran, organized event by Reese there, and yeah, it was just difficult, so difficult. I'd never ever ventured into the 200. I'd done 100 before. I think the furthest distance I did prior to that was like 110 miles, I think it was. So I'd stepped from 110 directly up to 200, and it ended up being 216 we finished on. So a massive jump there into that. Um, but it was such just an amazing experience. 3 days, I think I was there, and just yeah, it was something that I enjoyed. Push myself to that kind of limit, and also pain as well. I went through a lot of pain there. I mean, not just talking about muscular pain and stuff. We're talking about basically, uh, clothing malfunctions. So there was so much real chafe going on in between the legs, which was started really early, and so I ended up going for the 140 odd miles with yeah,
Oh,
running like John
oh,
Wayne. I guess all I can describe it really. Not very nice. Um, but again, it's an experience. Yourself. You're doing to bigger distances like that. You're going through so many highs and so many lows, and you got to really enjoy the pain cave, haven't you? You've really got to enjoy it. Otherwise, no point
yeah.
doing it.
No, the pain's only temporary, isn't it? It lasts a couple of days, so yeah, just get through it.
You
Nothing
just get through it.
painkiller
That's it.
won't. Yeah, painkillers and a bit of
Yeah.
Sudocrem or Vaseline.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Yeah, just make sure you're topped up in that for your challenge, mate. Make sure you've got plenty of that.
Oh
And
yeah, I've got a couple of toasts a day ready.
that's the thing. It's always about prevention is better than the cure, and it's trying to remember because sometimes we can forget we're rushing around, and it's just those little things. Whether it's clipping your toenails, for instance, basically, or taping up something that should be a little bit taped up. And it's also, you obviously find that just through experience of not doing it. So I know there's certain things in certain areas that I need to be taped on or creamed on, basically. and I'll do that even for training runs. If I'm going out for even a 5 or 10 miler and stuff like that, I'll do it because it's just, if you don't, you just, once it happens, once it starts, it's there's no going back from it then, is there?
No, I got a bit of chafing on my ass cheeks this week. So obviously the temperature's gone up a bit, so I'm sweating more. So I'm glad it's happened now.
You don't want
It won't
that
be
getting
happening
into
in
it.
July, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's the worst place to have it, mate. Honestly, it's
I
not nice
know.
at all, is it? Kind of like
Yeah.
stops you from doing something really functional, which you should be doing on a daily basis. Is you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
not
can
nice.
imagine it's not nice. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Matt. It's been a
Oh,
pleasure.
thank you.
This will be going out Friday.
Cool. No, it's been amazing to chat to you, mate. Honestly, it really has, and I hope that if I don't attempt mine in June, that I can come over and help and support you. What date do you start again?
I get to Chester on the 19th and I start on the 20th of July.
20th of July, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So day one is Chester to Llandudno.
I did know. Right, got you. Tarmac Day around there. Yeah. And then Llandudno's around. Cool. I'll keep that in mind. We'll keep in touch because as I say, if it's
Yeah.
kind of well within my the window of where I'm at, I'll support it any way I can, mate. 100%. I'd love to come over and share a few miles with you and help out. But great experience, mate.
It will. I can't wait. I can't wait. Not many people get a time off work or stars align where they get a crew. So yeah, I just can't wait. Can't wait.
Who you running for the Bigmoose charity?
Bigmoose and cerebral palsy Wales.
Okay.
Because back last year, I met a couple who ran with me, and they got a daughter who's got cerebral palsy, and she shares videos of her daughter, and yeah, it's heartbreaking how watching her go through her daily routines and stuff. But she's so bloody inspiring. She's like doing exercise and make her stronger. She's riding bikes. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. So yeah, it's just stuck with me. So I got to do something for her.
No, that's brilliant. That's amazing. That's amazing. It's
Yeah,
amazing to see that children have that sort of resilience as well, and as you say, it's inspiring coming from a small child like that. That's
yeah,
no, that's really good. That's a great charity to do it for, mate. Well done.
yeah. So yeah, thank you, Matt. It was a
Yeah,
pleasure.
cheers. Cool, buddy.
Yeah.
No worries. Well, we'll catch up soon, all right?
Yeah. Cheers, Matt. And that brings us to a close on episode 15 of the Just Run podcast. Reese will be back with us next week, and you'll find out the reason why he's not here tonight, and it's quite funny. So again, thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.